Today, we're diving into the top 3 most coveted Washington quarters that collectors dream of finding. From rare minting blips to limited release masterpieces, each coin tells a thrilling story of accident and artistry. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or simply love uncovering hidden treasures, these quarters have fetched eye-popping prices ranging from thousands to over $1 million. Stay tuned as we reveal the legends behind these remarkable coins and what makes them so priceless. 1967 Washington Quarter Dollar. To truly appreciate the rarity of the 1967 quarter, we need to rewind to the mid-1960s. The United States was facing a serious coin shortage. Silver prices had skyrocketed, and people were hoarding coins, especially quarters, dimes, and half dollars made of 90% silver. The U.S. Mint had to act fast. In 1965, it removed silver from the dime and quarter entirely, switching to a copper-nickel-clad composition. The 1967 Washington quarter was struck right in the heart of this crisis, when the mint was still trying to stabilize the economy and streamline production. Here's something that many collectors overlook. 1,967 quarters do not have a mint mark. That's right. Whether it was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, you won't find a letter like D or S beneath the eagle on the reverse. This was a deliberate move by the mint to discourage hoarding. From 1965 through 1967, all quarters were struck without mint marks, making it impossible for collectors to stockpile coins based on their origin. But that also means certain rare errors from specific facilities are nearly impossible to trace, and that mystery only adds to the allure. And it's those errors that turn a 25-cent coin into a 4-figure jackpot. One of the most valuable error types found on the 1967 quarter is the off-center strike. These are coins that were misaligned during minting, causing part of the design to be missing or distorted. Depending on how dramatic the misalignment is, and whether the date is still visible, these off-center quarters can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. Another exciting error is the double die, especially on the obverse. These coins exhibit clear doubling of letters like Liberty or the date 1967. Doubling can be subtle or extreme, but when it's crisp and noticeable, collectors go wild for it. A strong double die error in mint state can easily command $500 to $1,500, depending on eye appeal and demand. Then there's the clipped planchet error, where part of the metal blank is missing before the coin is struck. This results in a coin with a curved clip, almost like a bite was taken out of it. Depending on the size and position of the clip, these coins can bring $100 to $400. There's also the broad strike error, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, making it appear wider and flatter than usual. But perhaps the most fascinating type of error, and one that's extremely rare for this year, is the transitional composition error. Although the mint officially stopped using silver in quarters in 1964, a few silver planchets may have been accidentally left behind in the minting machinery and struck with 1967 dies. These are coins that appear normal but weigh heavier, around 6.25 grams instead of the expected 5.67 grams for clad quarters. If authenticated by experts like PCGS or NGC, these transitional silver planchet errors can sell for $5,000 or more depending on their condition. 1983 P. Washington Quarter Dollar. At first glance, the 1983 P. Washington quarter doesn't look extraordinary. It's not made of silver. It doesn't shine with a golden hue. In fact, it looks just like any other quarter from the 1980s. But that's exactly what makes this coin so intriguing. Its value doesn't lie in its appearance. It lies in its absence. Or more specifically, the absence of high-quality surviving examples. In 1983, the United States Mint was still recovering from the coinage policies of the late 1970s and early 1980s. A coin shortage in the early part of the decade meant the mint needed to pump out huge numbers of coins for circulation. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 673 million quarters that year. So you'd think finding a 1983 P quarter would be easy. But here's the catch. The U.S. Mint did not issue any uncirculated mint sets that year. This detail, this small, almost invisible decision, would go on to change the fate of the 1983 P quarter forever. Without mint sets, collectors had no easy access to pristine examples. Every single 1983 P quarter was struck for circulation, thrown into the economic bloodstream, and handled, tossed, scraped, and battered into oblivion. As a result, finding a 1983 P quarter in mint condition is almost impossible. Even moderately nice examples with minimal wear command strong prices among collectors. In MS-65 condition, mint state 65, where the coin still has a lustrous, nearly flawless surface, this coin can easily fetch hundreds of dollars. In higher grades like MS-67, it becomes a numismatic unicorn. One such example sold for over $2,000 at auction. Not because it's rare in mintage numbers, but because it's rare in preservation. But that's just the beginning. This coin also has a famous and highly desirable era variety known as the 1983 P Spitting Eagle quarter. It's one of the most sought-after die varieties of any modern U.S. coin. The era gets its name from a peculiar die break that appears on the reverse of the coin, right in front of the eagle's beak. The raised metal from the die crack gives the illusion that the eagle is spitting. And collectors love it. It's quirky, it's memorable, and most importantly, it's collectible. These spitting eagle quarters have been known to sell for $100 to $500 or more depending on the condition. Combine that era with the already scarce pristine surfaces, and you're looking at one of the most valuable modern quarters in American coinage. Let's talk about the design. The obverse features the classic left-facing profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan in 1932. It's been a mainstay of American coinage for decades. The word Liberty arches over Washington's head, the date, 1983, anchors the bottom, and, In God We Trust, appears to the left. The P mint mark, indicating the Philadelphia Mint, rests just to the right of the ribbon on Washington's ponytail. 1991 P Washington Quarter Dollar. At first glance, the 1991 P Washington Quarter might seem like just another modern coin. After all, it was produced well after the silver era and during a time when quarters were being struck in the hundreds of millions. So what makes this coin so special, so collectible, and potentially so valuable? The answer lies in a perfect storm of history, design precision, overlooked errors, and a surprisingly strong demand from collectors. Let's rewind to the year 1991. The United States Mint was deep in the era of clad coinage, having moved away from 90% silver composition back in 1965. The 1991 quarters were struck on planchets composed of a copper core layered with cupronickel, standard for circulation coins. This was also a transitional time for the mint, with increasing attention being paid to die life, automated striking processes, and reducing waste. Yet, despite all the modernization, something fascinating happened at the Philadelphia Mint that year. A staggering 570,968,000 Washington quarters were minted in Philadelphia in 1991. That sounds like a death sentence for rarity, right? Not exactly. With such a high production number, the mint was operating at full capacity, and that's where things started to go awry. Die polishing, worn dies, double dies, and misaligned strikes slipped through the cracks, literally. While the average 1991 P quarter is worth its face value, certain error examples have sold for hundreds and, in rare circumstances, even thousands of dollars. One of the most sought-after errors on the 1991 P Washington quarter is the double die obverse, DDO, variety. This error occurs when the coin die itself was improperly manufactured, leading to duplicated images, most notably seen on the motto, In God We Trust, the word Liberty, or the date, 1991. Coins with strong doubling can be easily noticed even with the naked eye, but experts recommend using a 10x loupe or microscope for confirmation. These DDO coins can fetch prices anywhere from $150 to over $1,000, depending on the strength of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Another fascinating variety includes struck-through grease errors, where debris or grease partially filled the die during striking, leaving a weak or missing design impression on the coin. While not as valuable as DDOs, high-grade struck-through errors in mint state can still sell for $50 to $200. Yet, arguably the rarest and most mysterious of them all is the off-metal strike. Occasionally, a 1991 P Washington quarter was struck on a planchet intended for another coin, such as a nickel or a foreign denomination. One example was discovered struck on a 5-cent blank, weighing around 5 grams rather than the standard 5.67 grams for a quarter. That coin, when certified by a third-party grader like PCGS or NGC, commanded over $2,000 at auction. That's right, $2,000 for a 25-cent coin struck in error.